Why?
Because your boss is gonna need me. 6353 Wantabeau, apartment 6.
At its core, Breaking Bad is a catharsis. That is, as a viewer, we want to keep watching episode after episode until the next big moment.
Oh! Damn, man, look at that, look!
But what separates Breaking Bad from other television shows is its lack of downs. Every moment is somehow bigger than the last. We come to desire these intense, cringe-inducing scenes, effectively transforming us into what Ian Jensen of the University of California calls connoisseurs of the horrific. Vince Gilligan, creator and head writer of the series, mesmerizes us with the lives of these characters, so effectively in fact that we come to want the brutality associated with becoming a meth-slinging kingpin. And just like Walt, our typical values disappear. We blindly follow the persona of Heisenberg into the dangers that coincide with his new line of work. Perhaps no character in the series illustrates that danger better than Gus Fring. He's a model of professionalism and intelligence, something Walt so desperately strives to be.
If I could just talk to Gus, I know I can make him understand. Please,
If I could talk to Gus, I can convince him, okay? Just let me, please let me talk to him.
Shut up!
In his 2-season run as one of the show's lead antagonists, Gus and the way he does business frustrate Walt, not because of the way it negatively affects him, but because within, he wants to be him. We see this perfectly in the season 3 finale, Full Measure, one of the 5 episodes crafted by Gilligan from the director's chair. The episode begins in a flashback, opening on the first time Walt and Skyler see the house they've lived in for 18 years. When episodes earlier Walt sits at a table in Gus's extravagant home, here, a young and ambitious Walt talks about how the couple need to dream bigger.
I just think we need to set our sights high, is all. At least higher than here.
Match this intro camera movement to the same one later in the episode. This time, as the camera spins around, his now estranged wife sets the table for one of their few nightly family dinners. His son does homework at the bar, happy his dad's home at all, while Walt sits, able to spend a small amount of time with his newborn daughter. Meanwhile, Gus can't seem to get his kids to appreciate the food he prepares in his lavish kitchen.
But I never get to make it. Kids won't eat it. But, you know how that is.
Originally starting with the purpose of providing for his family, Walt's occupation has effectively worked to break his family apart, something our young laboratorian likely never let cross his mind. Theme, then some establishing shots. In the episode prior, Walt goes against the grain by disobeying Gus's wishes, killing 2 of his dealers to save Jesse from danger. Now back in present time, he sits in his car waiting to deal with the fallout. His paranoia is shown to us through an extended use of shots, 15 across a minute and 23 seconds. Gilligan draws this out, helping extend Walt's fear to the audience. During the long walk over, the out-of-focus car lights sit like watchful eyes on the horizon. When we finally make it to the car, Gilligan holds back on showing Gus's face. Another 44 seconds to go by before we cut to the medium shot. Gus tells Walt,
Explain yourself.
the arrangement of the characters in the wide shot places Walt in a claustrophobic position. Unless he's the sole subject of the shot, he's out of focus or insufficiently acknowledged within the frame. Gilligan has visually stacked the odds against Walt, which ultimately make what happens next so important. Outnumbered 3-1 and in the middle of nowhere, Walt is a sitting duck, yet, hat in hand, our Heisenberg isn't ready to give up just yet. He convinces Gus to let him live and continue cooking as usual, or so it seems. After the agreed change of cooking partners, Gail Bedecker once again joins the Superlab crew. Under constant supervision, our Orwell-inspired cinematography continues.
When exactly did that start?
That's new.
Gus and his men have Walt in a position of weakness. Gilligan continues to illustrate that. Despite this, Walt's ego is satisfied, after keeping his previous partner from harm and working with a new partner who wants nothing more to please him in every way.
However you like things to be done is exactly how we're going to do them. Period.
But Gus knows what he's doing. While Gale faithfully serves under a master chemist, ultimately he holds all the cards. Devising a plan to eliminate the unnecessary difficulty of working with Walt, Gus begins to spin a web of lies. Here's where the critical difference between Walt and Gus is, though. While Gus sits in Gale's homely apartment, he has complete awareness of the evil corporate intentions behind his deception. He He acknowledges his position in the scheme of this operation and owns it, something Walt just can't seem to do, going so far as to develop a whole persona to cope with the idea. Deep down, Walt can admit that cooking has more to do with himself than his family. His desire to live up to his own expectations push him further and further into the madness. While Gus has built an empire that seemingly bends to his will, Walt and his subservient former students scrape by to stay alive and out of trouble. The brilliance of Gilligan's writing shines here, as their conflict lies in their dependency on one another. Without Gus and his reach, Walt's product does not move, but without Walt and his quality of product, nothing will sell. They need each other, and, at least at this point in the story, neither can continue solely.
Gus, you do this. All you'll have left is an $8 million hole in the ground.
Suspicious of Gus's tricks, Walt has Saul arrange a meeting with Jesse. In a Q&A on AMC.com, Vince Gilligan cites film noir as a big influence in the development of Breaking Bad. Within this genre, bright, flashy colors often alert the viewer to dangerous situations, which is fitting that as Walt convinces Jesse that Gale needs to die, the arcade machines behind them paint the background with a consistent blinking glow. The conversation ends with an agreement. Walt will kill Gale, but he needs Jesse's help to find the address. Jesse agrees, and later that night they attempt to put the plan into motion, only to be stopped by Gus's men, seemingly always one step ahead.
We got a problem. Some kind of chemical leaking in your lab.
As they try to march him to an obvious death, Walter needs a plan. Luckily for him, moments like these where pressure begins to mount and the walls close in are where he shines. When earlier in the episode we see Mike take down 4 cartel members single-handedly, Walt has to helplessly call for a contemptible junkie to do his bidding. Our shots move in. Gilligan wants us to feel the same pressure as Walt. It's not until he offers his partner up that we feel relief. The camera pulls back. Walt has room to breathe. Mike presses for an exact address, then Walt goes for his phone. We're back on Walt with tight framing because he's too comfortable. We pan to Jesse still in the arcade, but this time the only colored light we see is a foreshadowing red. While Gus and his forward thinking have set Walt up for failure, Walt's quick-wittedness throws a wrench in his operation.
You'll have about a 20-minute lead. They've got me at the laundry and they're going to kill me.
Jesse, do it now! Do it, bitch! Do it fast!
Jesse rushes to get to Gale before Victor, and now, as Gilligan illustrates, that pressure is now on Gus's men. Mike and Victor are framed closely, while we have a little breathing room around Walt. The tables have turned. In possibly one of the hardest to swallow season finales of all time, Gilligan effectively paved the way for one of the best rivalries to ever grace television with Season 4. Walt and Gus have similar motivations, but go about obtaining their goals very differently. Walt wishes he could express the qualities they share like Gus does, and as we see in Season 5, he begins to.
68%. And falling.
Good morning. May I have your ticket, please?
For the first time, Gus is challenged and seriously shaken. Walt wants what he's got. Both Gale and Tomas represent corrupted innocence. 2 episodes in a row, Gilligan hits his audience with these big moments, 2 very difficult deaths. First, a child caught in the wrong crowd, followed by an unsuspecting and indefensible man. While Gus wasn't directly responsible for the former, Walt was definitely responsible for the latter, willing to go extreme extents to keep himself and Jesse alive. That's why, I believe, we want Walt to win. Gus is willing to run a clean operation given the right tools, while Walter, however, just needs to be on top. From wheelchair bombs to Corleone-level hit jobs, Walt brings about the relief Gilligan conditions us to want. We root for Walt, but we cheer for Heisenberg. Son of a gun.